Hi there, welcome to the Schwoven's Nest. My name is Sandra. Thanks for joining me today. For my first project, I'm going to upcycle this little wooden pig. It's a wall hanging, and I had previously put this phrase on it, "Don't go baking my heart," and I thought it was really cute, but I was never able to sell it, so I'm going to give it a new look. I sanded the words down because I had used an ink-based pen and I didn't want any of the raised edges to show. Now I'm just going to give it one good coat of black chalk paint. I'm going to give this one good coat of Parisian gray chalk paint from Folk Art Home Decor chalk paint. And I love this color. It's a beautiful soft gray and the coverage is amazing with these paints. So if you haven't tried them yet, give it a shot. I've got a link for some of them down in my description box. While I wait for the paint to dry, I'm going to print a label on tissue paper. I have a full tutorial listed down in my description box if you're interested, but this is what I do. I tape a piece of tissue paper onto some regular printer paper, just using some Scotch tape or any kind of tape that I have on hand, making sure that I don't have anything sticking out over the edges. Then I just feed it through my printer like normal and it comes out looking like this. Then you simply cut out the labels that you've printed as close to the lettering as you can and use Mod Podge to apply it to your project. You will see here that I have distressed my pig. I don't end up liking it this way, so I ended up just giving it another coat of Parisian gray once I had the labels on. So here's all my labels on, and I did paint it with the Parisian gray again. You can still see the distressed lines underneath the gray, so that is something that I like, just more of a subtle distressing. Now I wanted to show you how you can camouflage the ends of your tissue paper to make them blend in more with a color that isn't white. So I'm just taking my brush, I'm just doing a little bit of paint around the edges, and then I'm using my finger to blend that paint in a little bit more, kind of like putting on makeup. This is going to get the edges of that tissue paper blended right in with your project. I thought I would try something different. I'm going to attempt to make a messy bow, and you guys will have to let me know if I succeeded because I've never done one like this before. Maybe once and then I didn't like the outcome of it. But what I'm doing is cutting multiple different types of ribbon into probably about a 3-inch strip because I don't want this bow to be too large. Then I'm going to go ahead and layer it. Doesn't matter how you layer it, just any which way, but I kind of did it in somewhat of a pattern. I think for the next time I try one of these, I need to be not so neat. Just make it a little bit more messy because that's what I'm trying to achieve. I laid all of my bows on top of another piece of ribbon that I used to tie it off. Then I fluffed it out and tried to make it look as messy as possible. And I included the two little strings that were left over from tying the knot. I just trimmed them down a bit so they would match the other length. I used one of the ribbons to give my pig a little collar, and then I glued the bow to the bottom. And I think this turned out pretty cute. You'll have to let me know what you think. I even found a little galvanized button to put on the bow. Today I am collaborating with my sweet friend Teresa over at Our Green Acres. Teresa is one of the people who inspire me to do what I do. I love her shabby chic and vintage ideas, and I do incorporate some of them into my farmhouse decor. If you are not already subscribed and watching Teresa's channel, you need to go over there and hit that red button. Her link will be down in my description box. Show her some love, some likes, some comments, and let her know I sent you. If you have been watching my channel for a while, you know that I am crazy for lavender. I took one of these wreath forms from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to be taking some of these lavender picks and sticking them into the wreath. I didn't use any hot glue in this project at all. I'll have this lavender linked down in my description box under my favorite Amazon finds. This is my absolute favorite lavender. What I'm going to do is just kind of push the stems up a little bit closer to the blossoms and then trim the branches down a little bit. I don't need the stems this long. And that's all there is to it. Just taking these stems, forming them the way I want them to be, and sticking them in the wreath. I made this fairly full. I didn't want to go overboard, but I really love the effect of it and how it turned out. I'd like to say a quick thank you to all of my current subscribers and viewers. I really appreciate you guys. If you are new to my channel, perhaps coming over from Teresa's channel, and you like what you see, I would love it if you could hit that red button too. This project is also redoing something that I had done before. I'm taking this beautiful little apple crate. I think it's absolutely adorable, and I'm going to give it 2 coats of my DIY chalk paint. I picked up some of the Crafter Square vinyl that you can get at the Dollar Tree. I've got quite a bit here, and I'm going to be using it for stencils. It's an inexpensive vinyl. It works really well as a stencil. I probably wouldn't use it as a vinyl decal because I don't like the sheen of it, but for a stencil, it's a really inexpensive option to use if you have a Cricut. One thing that I do when I'm using vinyl for stencils, because there's also a transfer tape that you have to use, I fuzz it on my pants or my shirt just to make sure that I get a lot of the stickiness off of it. Of course, I do want it to still stick to my project, but I don't want it to tear off any of the paint. So that's sometimes a little bit of a problem when you're using vinyl on chalk paint. It tends to pull off the paint. Now, a really easy way to fix that is, of course, to seal it first with a spray sealer or with some Mod Podge, and then it won't pull your paint off. But I'm just very carefully pulling this vinyl transfer tape off, and you can see that I'm wiggling it back and forth, and I have found that that is the easiest way to get it off without losing any of the vinyl coming with it. My favorite way to apply paint on a stencil like this is using the makeup sponge from the Dollar Tree. I just like the texture of it, and it doesn't turn out a solid color. It's kind of, I don't know, it's a stencil. Anyhow, I just take some paint on my makeup sponge, dab some of it off so I don't have too much paint, and then go over it with an up and down motion. Then when I take the vinyl transfer off, I still go back and forth in this sort of a wiggly motion, and I really take my time making sure that none of the paint comes up with it. Because I did 2 coats of chalk paint on this, they're fairly thick, so I'm using some 80 grit sandpaper to get right down to that charcoal color that was on before, and also a little bit of the wood. I'm going to go around all of these edges like you see me doing here. I'm also going to take a little bit extra off the corners because those are the things that get hit and knocked around normally with wear, and also on the handle. I'm also going to go over the letters just a little bit to make sure that they blend in with the vintage rustic look of this crate. I love it much better painted white. What do you think? If you're enjoying my project so far, I would really love it if you could hit that like button. That gets me noticed more on YouTube and helps my channel grow. When I'm thrifty, I'm always on the lookout for extra large mugs. They make really cute kitchen or shelf decor items, and I love to make them over. I'm just using some clear matte spray paint from Rust-Oleum to give this a little bit of a base coat so the paint that I'm using, which is of course chalk paint, has a better chance to stick. I'm using the color Eucalyptus from Martha Stewart Vintage Decor Chalk Paint. I got this on sale at Michael's last year for $5. I guess it was a clearance item. And I really love this chalk paint too. It is really super thick, and normally you can get away with one coat. But because this was a really bright lime green underneath, I did go over it for 2 coats to make sure that it was all covered. If you're a crafter or a painter and you don't have a Lazy Susan or a turntable yet, you gotta get one. It makes it so much easier. I love the look of the IOD stamps and the transfers, but I don't have a budget for those. But I did find some of these clear stamps at a dollar store. They're the Forever in Time brand, and I think I've seen some at the Dollar Tree as well. Not necessarily the stamps, but I know those products are starting to show up. At least here in Canada, they are. I just inked it up with some black ink and then placed it gently on my mug, making sure that I didn't wiggle it too much. And look at that, it's so pretty. Now I just inked up the top portion of the stamp, and I'm going to just put that down on the stem and give it a little bit of a press here. And then I'll add the same thing down at the bottom just to add a little bit more foliage to this larger stem. I looked up the botanical name for lavender and it's called lavandula, but I did spell it wrong. Oh well, it's okay. I just took a felt tip, fine tip marker and put it on just in a freehand kind of script like you see me doing here. I went over it a couple of times and I think this project turned out really pretty. I hope you enjoyed these projects today and got some inspiration to create some of your own farmhouse decor. Please make sure you visit Teresa's channel by clicking on the link down in my description box and make sure you tell her I sent you. Please give me a thumbs up, subscribe by hitting that red button, and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Bye for now.